Hi. So in this particular video, I'm going to talk about the various types of receptors, and specifically I'm going to stress on actually ion channel receptors. So the question are asked in the exams, what are the various types of receptors, and explain about those types of receptors. So these are important questions. So I would like to take the opportunity in this video to take you through these different types of receptors. Now, this video only covers one receptors, but I've also the other videos which covers the other types of the receptors like your G protein, the nuclear and tyrosine kinase receptors in detail. So if you wish to know about such videos and you're interested in such videos, so go to my website, drdeepikatikku.com. I have shared the link in the description below, and you can register for my 90 minutes masterclass. I will take you exactly through what all I have in my course, which is called the Pharmacology Excellence Model, something which is very unique, you wouldn't have experienced before. So let's get started with this video, and for more details, please go and check out drdeepikatikku.com. Alright, so the type of receptors that we're going to do, I'm going to introduce you to various types of receptors. One is your ion channel receptor, the G protein coupled receptor, enzyme linked receptor, and the nuclear receptor. The reason why I put them in this order is because from ion channel towards the nuclear receptor, क्या होता है? जो ion channel receptors है, they are the fastest acting receptor. जो nuclear receptors है, slowest acting receptors है. इसलिए it's easier to remember that way. ठीक है? So ion channel fastest होते हैं, nuclear receptors slowest होते हैं. अब आयन चैनल में रिसेप्टर्स में एक्चुअली होता क्या है कि आयन चैनल्स का मतलब है कि ये जो रिसेप्टर्स हैं, लेट्स से ये बीच में एक चैनल है और ये डिफरेंट रिसेप्टर्स ऐसे लगे हैं और बीच में एक चैनल है जो हम अभी डिटेल्स में करेंगे. दे हैव अ आयन पासिंग थ्रू देम, द चैनल्स फॉर आयंस, वेदर इट इज द नेगेटिवली चार्ज आयंस और द पॉजिटिव चार्ज आयंस. सो द आयंस विल पास थ्रू दीज चैनल्स एंड दे विल गिव द रिस्पॉन्स. G protein coupled receptors में क्या होता है? There is a receptor which has a G protein associated. For example, ये receptors होते हैं like this. Like this is like serpentine, सांप की तरह लगते हैं serpentine receptors, and यहाँ पे they have a G protein attached to it. ये G protein structure है, तो जिसमें alpha, beta, gamma सब यूनिट होते हैं. So the agonist will bind to somewhere here and this gets activated, the G protein activated होता है and the response is produced. So for example, your beta receptors in the heart, the muscarine receptors in the heart, they all are G protein coupled receptors. Third one is your enzyme linked receptor. So this is, let's say, the receptor and ये outside the cell membrane है. So when an agonist binds here, यहाँ पे enzyme है tyrosine kinase जैसे for example in insulin receptor. So the agonist binds to this receptor and this enzyme gets activated and produces the response. So इसको कहते हैं enzyme linked receptor. Enzyme is linked to the receptor. The fourth one is nuclear receptor, or we can also call it as intracellular receptor. Because जो receptor, let's say this is a cell, the receptor can be present in the cytoplasm, the receptor can be present in the nucleus. ठीक है? So both are intracellular receptors, but ultimately दोनों का response same है, because both, चाहे वो nucleus में है receptor, चाहे वो in the cytoplasm है. So whenever the agonist binds to them, अगर cytoplasm में it binds, it will enter in the nucleus. अगर nucleus में is already present in the nucleus itself, then they will act on, like they will bind to this genetic material, the DNA hai, and there are certain changes produced, transcription and the protein synthesis. So ultimately that gives you the response. So these are your intracellular receptors. So the examples here are all your hormones basically, especially to vitamin D, you know, all those hormones and estrogens, androgen, progesterone, they all work, thyroid, they all work by this mechanism. So they take the maximum time, lag period है इनका ज़्यादा. So these are the various types of receptors. In brief, comparison of all these receptors. Coming to the first one that I'm going to talk about is your ion channel receptor. Now the important examples of ion channel receptors we have are your nicotinic receptor, GABA A, and NMDA receptor. Nicotinic receptor, acetylcholine is an agonist. GABA A में GABA, NMDA में glutamate. So these are the agonists to these. They bind to these receptors. They cause opening of the channel, which is the ion channel. So let's take, for example, first your nicotinic receptors. ठीक है, nicotinic receptor है, it's like a flower, 5 subunits are flower shaped, 1 2 3 4 and 5 let's say, और ये center में एक channel है, this is your channel, ion channel receptors. ठीक है, so this is the outside of the cell, inside the cell, ये लेते हैं, this is a channel जो है, and this is a channel for your sodium ions. ठीक है, and we have the various subunits जो present हैं. You have 2 alpha, so this is alpha, gamma, beta, alpha, again beta. So 2 alpha, 2 beta and 1 gamma. ये है the structure of the nicotinic receptor. Now, what happens when the agonist, that is the acetylcholine bind? जब acetylcholine bind करता है जो the nicotinic receptor, it causes opening of the channel, which is a sodium channel. जब ये channel open करेगा, sodium ions move from outside towards the inside. So sodium ions move करेंगे towards the inside. So there is lot of positive charge, increase in the positive charge because sodium is positively charged. तो cell का जो inside है becomes more and more positive. You know, when we become more and more positive, we have a lot of energy in in us. We are more positive, we are active, we are excited. The same happens with the cell. Cell is more active, so more excited, so cell becomes more excitable. So there is depolarization. We all know जब inside of the cell becomes more positive charge, and there is depolarization in action potential, and that is how the acetylcholine is going to act on nicotinic receptor. So this is one example of this nicotinic receptor. Second example is of GABA receptors. Now I've already talked about details about the GABA receptors and the various agonists in my lecture on difference in how do the benzodiazepine and the barbiturates act. So I'll put a link in the description box, so please check it out. It's in more details about the GABA receptor. And abhi batane ke liye I'll tell you, they have the same structure like this nicotinic receptors, 2 alpha, 2 beta and gamma. And the only difference there is that this receptor mein GABA lagega. So GABA will attach to this particular receptor, and instead of sodium ions, we have chloride ions channel. So when GABA attaches to this particular receptor, GABA A, it causes opening of the chloride ions, chloride channel. The chloride will move inside. When the chloride moves inside, there will be negative charge inside. जब negativity बढ़ जाती है, there is inhibition. The cells become inhibited. So that is second example of the ion channel receptors. The third one are your NMDA receptors. Now NMDA receptor, NMDA receptor is a receptor for glutamate. So let's say this is the NMDA receptor here. Okay, it's a receptor for glutamate, and there is a site here for attachment of the glutamate. So in the center, there is a channel for the ions, and they can be sodium ions, even the calcium ions. Okay? So glutamate जब attach करेगा NMDA receptor के साथ, all these ions, they will move inside because the channel has opened now. So there is lot of positive charge inside. Now glutamate is one of the major excitatory neurotransmitters in the brain, and GABA is one of the main inhibitory neurotransmitters in the brain. So brain में जब glutamate stimulation ज़्यादा है, so it will lead to stimulation, excitation of the neurons. If there is GABA, it leads to inhibition of the neurons. So normally in the brain, there is a balance between the two. And usually in certain diseases, for example in epilepsy and in those conditions, there is overexcitation. Okay, so there is overexcitation of these neurons because of the glutamate. So that's why we try to give drugs which are decreasing the level of glutamate, or we give drugs which are increasing the level of GABA in epilepsy as such. So glutamate leads to excitotoxicity. Overexcitation karegi because of this reason, ज़्यादा बहुत positive charge बढ़ा रही है, so it leads to overexcitation of neurons, and that is not really good. So this is about the glutamate. So these are the 3 major examples of your ion channel receptors. If you're asked in the exam, mention these 3 receptors: NMDA receptor for glutamate, nicotinic receptor for acetylcholine, GABA receptor for GABA. And the reason also why GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter, because of the chloride, and why glutamate is an excited neurotransmitter of the brain, because of the sodium and the calcium channels, right? So with this, we come to the end of this video. I hope I'm clear about the type of, ion channel receptors. And if you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe if not already subscribed. And I will keep coming up every Wednesdays and Saturdays with more of such content for all the students in pharmacology. So take care. God bless. Thank you so much.